All right. So you were going to talk about one of the members from FYL that was holding you accountable.
Yo, so when I got down with FYL, they have like this collective, but then they have the main two, like the
Right.
George Burns and Nems, but there was three. It was this dude Lavoisier. He was down with FYL. It was them three. Lavoisier ends up, I think, 9/11 happened, and emotions are high. You're seeing tragedy. They're in New York. Lavoisier and George Burns are blowing a blunt in this abandoned crack house, and they talking about like, yo, how they need God, how they want to look for God. George Burns leaves. Lavoisier says that he gets on his knees right there, and he's just like, yo, God, if you real, I want to serve you. And from that moment on, he started serving Christ. And he left FYL. So now here I come. I don't know nothing about Lavoisier. I get down with the group and I, basically take his place. And I would hear stories about they man Lavoisier who left to go do Christian rap. And they didn't, it's not like they heard his music, but they ain't speak of Christian rap favorably, like Christian rap. You know what I'm saying? So I guess they must have ran into him because my man is, Voss is from Coney Island. Vossier must have ran into them and they like, yo, we got this new dude who took your place, Datin. So later on, while God is already dealing with me, that chasing phase where I'm just trying to run away from him, Lavoisier finds me on MySpace. And he's like, yo, you literally the dopest unsigned rapper I ever heard. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And he tells me, yo, I used to be with Burns and Nems. And I'm like, oh, I would hear about you. I go to check his music on his MySpace page. And what do you know? My man, Lionel, who was playing Christian rap to me, gave me this purple mixtape. And there was one song on that joint that I liked. It was hard. And it was Lavoisier's. I never knew that. So I tell Lavoisier, I'm like, yo, man, I wish I had the courage to do what you do. And he was like, preach fire and brimstone to me right there. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? So right there, I was just like, I don't even know how to respond to this message. I just, whatever, logged out. When I would finally give my life to Christ, I hit him up. So now he became a big bro. And we both came from the same camp, which is a crazy full circle moment. We both came from FYL. And
wow.
Yeah. He became big bro for many years. He's the one who plugged me with Bizzle too.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So I was just about to ask you about that. Like, what made you decide to go with Bizzle?
So with Bizzle, at the time, I'm immersed in Christian hip hop. I'm listening. I'm a fan. There's actually really dope, talented MCs. And I hear the story about, somebody like, yo, you heard this dude, Bizzle, who dissed Jay-Z? And I'm like, who's this? And then I listen. So the thing about Bizzle was just that, yo, he was still dropping M-bombs. And it was just, he was talking my language. It was a little more hood than what I was listening to. This is like clinked up. It's dope, but it's clinked up. What Bizzle was doing felt authentic. And he came at Jay's neck and went viral on World Star. And I just became a fan. Like, I got his 2 mixtapes and I was just like, yo, nobody in this space is iller than this dude. So my man Lavoisier ends up reaching out to Bizzle and he becomes a big bro to him. And then one day I'm a fan and this dude puts me and Biz on a 3-way phone call. And I chop it up with Biz. I give him my story, and then that's when he like, yo, we got to do something. And then we did some music together, and I dropped my little first mixtape. I asked him to be on it. Him and Voss are on the same song. They jumped on it, and a relationship built like that. I started off as an A&R for his label.
Right.
And so I don't know if, I guess he thought I sucked. No, I'm just kidding. He just ain't offered me a deal to sign me. But his label, he needed help in some areas. And I'm good with the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm just like, yo, let me help you here. Let me help you there. And I got down with them on that side of things, helping him with his artists. And then, eventually he's still featuring me on stuff. And he's just like, yo, Datin, just come on this side. And that's why I decided to go. And at the time, I think God Over Money was like the second biggest Christian rap label out with everything they were putting out. So when I signed it, and then with my story being that, oh, that's the dude that was supposed to sign with Shady and all that, it helped build a buzz and some anticipation for what I was going to do.
How was your relationship with Nems throughout this entire experience that you guys are kind of headed in different directions, right? Because he started going with Necro and everything. You're having this like life transforming experience with God and everything, and then eventually he gets clean too.
Yeah, so Nems, and especially in the beginning, he would hit me up a lot when he was, wrestling with his addiction and stuff. But eventually, it's something I always feel bad about, and I don't think they'll ever understand. Like, whenever I was still dealing with the temptation of relapsing, and I don't mean smoke, drink, I mean like relapsing, like wanting to go back to do what I was doing. When you
That lifestyle.
that lifestyle, when you spend over a decade of pursuing something, like, yo, to deny it is to like cut an arm off. That's how it feels. So I had to stay away from them for a little bit, not because I ain't loved them or because I thought less of them or because they were sort of look at these sinners. Nah, it was just like I'm too tempted. I start to try to reason in my brain how I could still do both. Or so I was just like, nah, I need to be a man of integrity and be 10 toes down on this here. So I feel like when he got with Necro and all of that, we were lightly keeping in touch. And then he got clean. So it's like with me and them, it's always love. Like he just pulled up to my album listening experience this past weekend. It's always love. But I might have as close as we were, I might have messed that up staying away. And then also, I even did some corny stuff where they had posted like an old song with me, and I threw a fit. And it's just in immaturity, like, yo, why did y'all, post that? Da, 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 da. I think I like subbed one of them that released it, and Nems saw it. And, I don't know if he felt some type of way. He never treated me different, but those type of things just makes things awkward. So, even before the whole Bing Bong and before he popped off, I was being very intentional by texting him, telling him I love him, checking in on him, to let him know, like, yo, the Datin is back, except minus the bull crap. So, yeah, I guess me being young in the faith, me just trying to like to wing off of everything I was addicted. I had to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? And they were a source of temptation, not because they tried to be, not because they enticed me. It's just, yo, it's like, oh man, why am I? Oh, they on tour and I'm over here Christian rapping. Like, I'm about to just get with them and forget all this. Like that would happen every now and then. So
Right. I definitely think though also like to a certain extent sometimes you are the company that you keep though, right? You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah, for
saying?
sure,
Like
for sure.
and if you're like you said you're early in your faith, you're trying to change your life and stuff, you really have to change your environment. You have to put yourself in a different position, pause, to be like, you know, to make that change, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's so hard to do it when you're surrounded by the same things. That's why a lot of people I think fall victim to their circumstances.
Yeah, you spot on, bro. I think at the time I wasn't strong enough to be able to stand 10 toes down. I was more familiar with doing what they do than doing what I started to do. Does that make sense? So I definitely had to stay away from a lot of people for some time. And now I'm rooted enough in my walk with Christ that, I won't be influenced. Like I already know what that side has to offer, what it brings. I, I'm I am proud of. I see he's clean. I love it, man. I've picked him up out of a pool of his own throw up at one point when we went to go for that battle, and cleaned him off. You know, like a brother. And I love to see that he's sober. I love to see him be the leader that he always was. Like it was just hindered by his addiction, but yo, he always had these leadership qualities. He always been this. I've seen this version of Nems back then. I knew he could be all of that. So to see it and to see him living the dream, I texted him not that long ago when he interviewed Cannabis, and I was telling him, yo, Nems, I don't know if you remember, one day, like stupid, funny story, me and him just chilling. And I had this thing where I would say I would never let nothing master me. So because I sold weed, I didn't want to smoke my product. So in order
Right.
to not smoke my product, I didn't want to learn how to roll a blunt. So if you rolled in front of me, I'll turn my face. That's some discipline. Like, yo, I don't roll no blunt. Don't let me see that joint. Cause once I learned, like I knew I had goods. Like everybody would come to me like, yo, where you get this from? So I'm like, and then I would smoke when after you caught from me, and then you rolled up, I'll smoke with you and be like, yeah, I had goods. So now I'm like, I don't want to smoke my stuff. I get with Nems, I bring weed, and he don't know how to roll a blunt either. So we driving around Coney Island with mad weed. We on the bus and we can't even roll the blunt. So, so we both mad as hell on the back of a bus. But right then, I remember this conversation about what we aspired to do, who we wanted to do records with. And like, yo, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. And to see him, like, y'all, I mentioned Cannabis, and he's interviewing him. He's with Busta. He's with these are things that he's dreamed about, and he's making it happen.
You're
So
happy for your friend. You
yeah,
saw the
yeah,
realization of
yeah,
his dreams,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, because
So
when I hear you talk about that time period where you had to distance yourself, I can see you feel a little guilty or conflicted about that, because it's like, I mean, who wouldn't feel that way, right? You love your brother and it's not personal in the situation, but you're afraid that they would take it that way, that like, oh, now you're too good to be around me, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. And yo, I might have even put that energy out there, and that joint is whack. Like, I hope I didn't. You know, maybe it's myself being self-conscious, but it's like,
right.
yo, I pray I never put off that energy. Like, yo, yeah, I'm Mr. Righteous right now, so I can't rock with y'all little peons no more. And that's not
Well, you're
how,
going through something really profound, bro. Something new, something that you don't really even know all of what it entails, or what this is going to lead to, right? Or how to do it the right way and everything. And so I'm sure they had some grace for you,
yeah,
or
yeah, for
or
sure.
try to. So I mean, but I see that in you when you're talking about it, and I could tell it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I love them dudes.
Yeah, man.